Good evening. How is everybody doing? We're going to carry over from last night where I was about this time. And for those of you that have not tuned in, my name is Michael Jeff at the Yoga Lounge. This is the channel. Since about the last 7 days, it's a fairly new channel. And tonight, as I said last night, I was talking about how tonight I was going to do to proliferate on the Kundalini yoga, and it's a very, very deep subject, and I can't stress, it's so vastly important. The Kundalini is so magnificent. To that when it rises and shines, it emanates and it illuminates the whole soul of a person. It changes them. The spiritual progression in that person just rises up, and it's such an amazing thing. However, in a lot of people, that particular energy stays dormant in a lot of cases for their whole life. And so let's, with no further procrastination, let's get right into this. And because I want to try to get everything in the amount of time that I have, which is about maybe at the most 50 minutes, maybe 45. So we'll keep it to that. I'm going to go ahead and grab my notes, and I'm going to go right into the subject of what Kundalini is, where it got started, and the information. It's all pretty much comes from Swami Sivananda. So all of the stuff that I will be talking about is from that great saint that he was. And this knowledge goes on forever. I mean, and it's just it makes history. I mean, from the beginning to the end, it's really good. So I'm just gonna get right into this, and so this is all comes from him, and this is what he wrote. So I'm gonna try to best describe it as best as that I can. I've been doing this quite a while, and I know a lot about the Kundalini. But obviously, I want to make sure and get everything in tonight on all of the, because there's a lot of deep information here. And so we're just going to dive right into this. So for those of you that want to comment, feel free to do so. Hit the like button tonight, or the subscribe button to make this channel more visible. So let's get started on this phenomenon of the Kundalini, which is the spiritual enlightenment of a being, of a soul, and how this all starts. So let's go. All right. So the Kundalini, the Shakti, it's called Shakti, which is divine energy, and it has two aspects. It has the static and the dynamic. You have both forms. It's much like a magnet. So if you could think of a magnet, such a polarity it's necessary for maintaining the equilibrium in the universe. So think of the magnet of the the dynamic and the static. So this is kind of how the balance of the universe and how everything all works. And this is related to that. So Shakti, as we speak, manifests in the body as the Kundalini and prana. Prana, which is the active, it's kind of the life force, the breath. The human being is the microcosm or the inferior cosmos. Whatever exists in the outer universe exists in the body. So, whatever's in the outer universe, whatever's in the upper atmosphere, in space and time, in the galaxy. It also exists in the human body. That's just, everything comes from God. God makes the universe, the galaxy, and that translates into the body, which is really run by the electrical current, which keeps the heart beating. It's an electricity, fiery, occult power, the mighty pristine force, which underlies all organic and inorganic matter. It's sometimes referred to as a serpent power because of its spiral-like working in the body of the yogi. So it kind of has a spiral-like, it kind of goes up like this, and as it works, and it opens up the chakras and turns over the notes in the chakras. So it has a spiral-like working in the body of the aspirant or the yogi. When it's awakened, it makes the hissing sound of a serpent and proceeds to rise upwards through the central canal within the Sushumna. The rousing of the Kundalini Shakti and her union with Lord Shiva in the Sahasrara brings about a state of supreme consciousness and spiritual experience. Okay? So this it elevates the spiritual level of the person, and the aspirant becomes more enlightened as this starts to change and to develop and to move on. So every portion of the physical body is associated with an astral counterpart. So all of the things associated with the spiritual are kind of associated with the physical, so they kind of correlate. They're kind of one and one, and it's there and it's here. So there's a counterpart to all the physical parts. So all of the 6 centers of chakras and the Sushumna nadi are in the astral body. Okay? So in the physical body, these chakras and Sushumna nadi coincide with nerve plexuses, like I was just talking about, and the spinal column. Okay, so all of the nadis, they coincide with the nerve plexuses and the spinal column. Okay, so let's move on. Let's go a little bit further. We've got quite a bit to cover here. So I just want to try to get all this in because this is such a deep matter, and keep commenting on it. If you have a question or you have a comment, just write it in there, and I'll try to maybe answer that or whatever. And a lot of you probably know a lot about this, or maybe you're even an avatar or an expert on this. And so let me know. Write in a comment. Hey, I already know about that, and that's a great. And tell me if I'm right on. If it resonates with you and you agree with me, let me know. Okay, so let's move further into this. So let me grab a sip of coffee. I'm a little bit more tired than I was last night, and I had a lot of energy for some reason last night. I just was I was like a live wire. I don't know. I was just going on and on and on and on and on and on. Now I'm trying to get it together, and I'm trying to present this in the best way that I possibly can. So here we go. There are 72,000 nadis, or astral tubes, in the pranic sheath. To advance in Kundalini Yoga, the purification of these nadis is absolutely essential. Okay? So one has to kind of purify themselves, and you have to be, kind of living maybe in a state of fasting, in a state of purification, or whatever, on some kind of journey or sadhana or whatever you're on. Maybe it's It's a period of a few weeks, it's a year, it's 2 years, maybe it's half of your lifetime. Okay, so there are two nadis on either side of the Sushumna, the Sushumna, known as Ida and Pingala. They correspond to the left and right sympathetic nervous cords in the physical body engaged in manifold worldly activities bound by time, space, and causation. Okay, so we have the both sides. The Ida is the cool side. So if you think of how the whole world and this universe operates, the Pingala is like this, is the sun side, is always to the right, and the left side is the Ida. So Ida and Pingala. In everything in yoga, everything in meditation, everything in all of these aspects of spiritual life, everything associated with the earth and the planet, kind of everything, and a lot of these things are kind of associated with Ida and Pingala. Hot and cold, night and day, abundant and non-abundant. Maybe that wasn't a good one. I don't know, I would say, so mainly it's hot and mainly it's cold. So hot and cold. Ida is cold, Pingala is heat. Okay, so the Ida and Pingala correspond to the left and right sympathetic nervous cords in the physical body. So there's correspondence there to the left and right sympathetic nervous cords in the physical body. Okay, which is engaged in manifold worldly activities bound by time, space, and causation. So the Sushumna nadi, the central one, is the most important. Okay, so we're talking about the most important nadi in the aspirant, the spiritual devotee. Would be the Sushumna nadi, which we talked about that a little bit last night, and actually when I was teaching a yoga class the other day on Saturday, and I was getting into the rise, you know, and how it kind of comes up through the central part of the, you know, the chest cavity and all the way up into the Ajna chakra to the final 1,000-petal lotus chakra, which is in the toward the crown of the head. That's, of course, the eventual goal. But anyways, let me, without deviating on this. So, okay, so the yogi is beyond all limitations in mind of time. So let me go back a little bit. So let's say the Sushumna nadi, the central one, is the most important. When the prana is in the Sushumna, the yogi is beyond, okay, so get this, the yogi is beyond all limitations of mind and time. So it has to be, the prana has to be kind of into the Sushumna nadi as it kind of works its way up, and then there's the enlightenment begins. We get out of the state of mala, which is selfishness and that kind of thing. But sometimes, you know, as I deviate a little bit away from this, sometimes in a lot of people, it lies dormant their whole life. It just stays where it is. It never rises up because there's no spiritual desire within that. You know, they want to stay in the material realm, and maybe they're just, you know, they're a very new soul, you know, and so, but we don't know why it rises up in certain people and other people it doesn't. So again, when the prana is in the Sushumna nadi, the yoga is beyond all limitations of mind and time. Okay. So beyond mind and time, which is quite a bit beyond, think about that, mind and time, being beyond that is like super incredible, really, don't you think? I mean, beyond all limitations. I mean, think about that. That's a lot of power in this particular energy. So, you know, this is something that you have to take, that, you know, we as people that practice yoga and meditation, we take it very seriously. It's something that's not, you know, it's not some kind of a joke or some kind of a physical workout or something that we do. You know, it's just we hop around to a bunch of aerobic music and say, yeah, I'm getting my Kundalini up, man. And this is, you know, no, this is really something that that is an element of one of the most powerful things in the universe. Okay, so this Kundalini, and it's very important in yoga. I know there's a lot of teachers that do Kundalini yoga, you know, and they say, oh, I'm a Kundalini yoga teacher. Well, big deal. Okay, so this is where all of yoga comes from. The original, the history behind that is it started with the original yoga was the Kundalini yoga. And it was actually emanated from the goddess, I can't think of the name right now, but it's translated into, and what we know now as Hatha Yoga. So a lot of you might hit the comment button if that resonates with you, if you're a Hatha Yoga student. So let's move on. So the Kundalini Shakti lies dormant in most people, like I just said. It's not active until the yogi begins to really wake up. So there has to be an element of wake up until this Kundalini no longer remains dormant anymore. So when people start to wake up, the Kundalini may start to wake up, maybe not. Maybe not, maybe so, maybe not. It depends on the aspirant or the student, whoever that they might be, and what their spiritual journey is. So it begins to wake up through various techniques with the goal, and this is what I talked about on Saturday in the yoga class, the yoga and meditation, that this was the goal. So we have a thing called Shakti that is the energy that rises up, and the eventual goal is it rises up and 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 up. It spirals like a snake, or it moves like an ant, or it crisscrosses the body like that until it meets its final destiny, its final terminating point, which would be Shiva, which is in the 1,000-petal lotus chakra, sometimes under the Sahasrara, or the pineal gland, and that unites. The two of them are back together again, and this is the ultimate. This is this ultimate aim. So I'm going to move a little quicker here. So. It's not active until the yogi begins to wake up through various techniques with the goal of achieving union of Shakti with Shiva. So let's move on to, as we go further, the Sushumna nadi. The Sushumna extends from the Muladhara chakra, located in the second vertebrae of the coccyx region, to the Brahmarandhara, the opening of the skull, which is in the opening of the skull. Western anatomy recognizes a central canal in the spinal cord made up of gray and white brain matter. The spinal cord, okay, so we have the spinal cord is suspended in the hollow of the spinal column in the same way. Okay, so so again, I'll repeat that again. The spinal cord is suspended in the hollow of the spinal column in the same way as the central canal in the spinal cord made up of gray and white brain matter. Okay, so it's a bit deep, and you may not all understand all this. So it takes a while. You may come back to this video to recollect, and maybe you might pick up some things that you didn't get the first time. So as we go on, The Sushumna within the spinal column has subtle sections. Its color is red like fire. The Sushumna pierces all lotuses and is pure, infinite, pure intelligence. Within the Sushumna there is a nadi by the name of Vajra. Vajra, which is lustrous. It's lustrous as the sun, with Rajasic qualities. Within this Vajra nadi, there is another nadi, the Chitra. So within the Vajra nadi, there is another nadi called the Chitra. So again, and let's move back a little bit to where I was talking about before. There's 72,000 nadis in the entire body. So that's a lot if you think about it. So, but this we're talking about the main nadi, which the central one, which is the Sushumna nadi, which is the where the spiritual development really starts as the Kundalini comes out of the Muladhara chakra. So let's go on to more. We're getting close to the finish here, and then to capsulate everything, when I come to the end of this, I'm going to talk a little bit about tonight. I'm not going to talk about the adventures I had at the Shivananda teacher training yet. I'm going to save that for another time. I'm going to talk about something else, which I feel is might be more relevant to this conversation tonight. So let me get a sip of water and just get back to this whole. Let me take a quick little break. And so for all of you tonight, again, thank you for being here, and thank you for watching this channel. And there's just so much that I have to say. It's not just a matter of, it's not just yoga. The whole purpose of yoga, really, I bet, I wonder how many of you know. Hit the comment button if you know what the purpose of yoga is. So the purpose of yoga is so that one can sit in meditation for a long time. And so many of these gurus and the saints and these great saints and swamis can sit in meditation for hours because they're trained to control the breath. Some of these yogis can hold their breath for long periods of time. They can hold their breath. They can breathe very slowly. They can slow their heart rate down. They can control the whole body. These yogis are so efficient at controlling the body. It's just amazing. So, it's so this whole purpose of, so we do the postures and all the hatha yoga so that we can get more proficient at doing yoga. Okay, so let me get back to my notes and as we go on. So it's of such sattvic nature and pale in color. The qualities of fire, the sun, which we discussed, the sun and the moon, again, Ida and Pingala, are the three major aspects. Well, those are the Ida and Pingala are two, but we're talking about the fire, the sun, and the moon are three aspects of Brahman. So now we're bringing Brahman into this conversation. So Brahman is the absolute. Brahman is universal consciousness in terms of the absolute consciousness. It's not just the Atman. Brahman is everything. It's the knowledge of millions of years of existence, from the beginning of time to the God, that makes me just fall over to think about it. It makes, it's really, 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 really deep. So within this chitra, there is a very fine, minute canal through which the Kundalini, when awakened, passes from the Muladhara to the Sahasrara chakra. Okay, and that's the final chakra, of course. In this canal exist all the main chakras, each representing a different state of consciousness. Okay, so the lower extremity of the Chitra nadi is the door of Brahman. So the lower extremity of the chitra, it's a very beautiful nadi, is the door, the entrance to Brahman. Brahman is like the final step. It's the final stage. It's the complete universe. It's everything, all knowledge, all time. So the Kundalini passes through this door to its termination point in the cerebellum. So it passes through the door to its final destination, the termination point in the cerebellum. The chitra, the chitra is the highest and most beloved of all the nadis. Brilliant with 5 colors, it is the center of the Sushumna, and is called the heavenly way. Okay, so as we move on, also the chitra is beautiful, like a chain of lightning, and shines like a lotus in the minds of sages. So it's extremely beautiful. So we think of the chitra as a beautiful, with magnificent colors, and so we associate that with all of the chakras, but the chitra in particularly is the most beautiful nadi that there is. So anyway, so she is extremely subtle, the awakened knowledge, the embodiment of all bliss, whose nature is pure consciousness. Whose nature is pure consciousness. So the Kundalini is awakened at a speed dependent on the degree of one's purity. So the degree of the aspirant's purity, so the degree of the devotee, of how pure of a life that they're living, the stage of evolution that they are at. So it's dependent on the degree of purity. Okay, so the stage of evolution, the amount of purification of the psychic nerves and the vital chef, and the degree of dispassion and yearning for liberation. So this is all, kind of interdependent on the aspirant, and where they are. This awakening of the Kundalini is really dependent on one's own desire to detach, for the dispassion, the feeling of wanting to dispatch from this world. And like we talked about last night, there's a lot of good reasons why to detach from it. But in a spiritual person, they don't want to be involved in small talk and small things, in a bunch of nonsense, and so they start getting this yearning to be by themselves, to detach, to meditate, to meditate over at the shrine, to be by the ocean. And this is where, like we were talking, it's a state of nothingness. Nothingness is where all of this power is. So the note again, I mentioned dispassion is wanting to detach maybe from worldly things. Okay, so just a little bit more to go, and just hang in there with me. And so let's see, I've got about another 15 minutes. Okay, so even after reaching the Ajna chakra, the student could conceivably fall back to the lower chakras. The Kundalini sometimes crawls like an ant, or especially in pure yogis, it jumps and reaches the Sahasrara rapidly. Other experiences that may indicate the awakening of the Kundalini are the beholding of divine visions. Okay, so this rising Kundalini could become very intense for someone who's not ready for this spiritual advancement. So one must be patient. Okay, so we have to be patient in this lifetime. Sometimes it takes a long time for this whole evolution of the Kundalini to take place. And so we've got just a little bit more. It's so much better if this happens through devotion to and study, which is called, devotional yoga is called Bhakti Yoga, which is the practice of devotion to God. It has been known to have made some people go insane. Some people have gone insane, literally, and this has been documented in history, that in England and Great Britain, that people have gone to because of this powerful thing, it's been too early for them. They've tried to rise this up through techniques, and they didn't know what was happening, and they've gone nuts. Okay, so we're just about done here. So let's go. There's one more thing I want to add. The other day I did some ohms, and I just want to tell you what the meaning of ohms are. So in the ohm, we have the om, so the A and the U and the M. And this stands for periods of time. The A is awakening, the U is the dreaming state, and the M is the deep sleep state. So that is the Om, and this is a very powerful part of releasing to going through the yoga process to get into that state of, to work toward getting to that state of samadhi. So the Kundalini energy has the knowledge from beginning of time till the end, like I said before. It is also said to be like a million atom bombs going off. Now, so this is an important point here. It lies dormant in everyone. Everyone that hasn't woken up, particularly, so it lies dormant in everyone, but doesn't rise in all people. Usually only those on a spiritual path or sadhana. So we take it, that's to the end of our description of the Kundalini. So I'm just going to, let me see, I have a little bit of time left. I have about like 5, maybe 10 more minutes. I just want to get into, I want to mention something about one of my favorite gurus, I guess, or I would say swamis. I used to go by the Lake Shrine. I don't know if maybe some of you are listening from LA, and over in Pacific Palisades, there's a place called the Self-Realization Center. And part of my routine back then was to go to, I'd go to the gym first thing in the morning, and then I'd take the Highway 10 over around, and it would circle, by the ocean, and then I'd go meditate at the shrine, Lake Shrine. It's right in Pacific Palisades, and I would sit there for hours. And that's when the story of how when I started to awake, and I noticed what was happening. So for many years, I would go there like 3 times a week. It was just part of my routine. I used to love that place. It's probably one of the most beautiful places in the world. The lake, the shrine is such a beautiful place. I'm dying to go back. Right now I'm living in a little further south down near Oceanside, California. So the person that started that was Paramahansa Yogananda, and he's kind of like he's one of the best avatars who, in my opinion, of yoga. So he brought the yoga practice over to the West from the East, and so he started the Kriya Yoga, which is like the yoga studies that they do at the Self-Realization Center, and he introduced the meditation to the West. I didn't know this, and I just did some research this week that he actually died of congestive heart failure, which is something that I didn't know. He was born January 5th, 1893. He died on March 7th, 1952 at the Biltmore Hotel in LA. So some of you might know where the Biltmore is. And I never knew that. So Paramahansa Yogananda was a great man. We also have another shrine over in Encinitas. So that was his home. He has a big pool out by there. And he used to spend a lot of time at his location in Encinitas. So I just want to say one more thing here. So all of this time, I want to just tell you a little bit about my awakening, and I want to see how much time I have left. Maybe we're going to go on for another 5 minutes here. And then I'm going to end this message tonight. And I hope a lot of you were able to get something out of this. And that's the whole point of what I'm doing. I don't do this for myself. I'm here I feel like I want to help. And if even 1 or 2 people get some benefit out of this, then it makes me happy. So comment. I mean, if you got something from this, I mean, if it's resonant, if you're feeling something, then hit the like button, or maybe give me a comment or something. So during this whole time, I'm going to put my notes down and just finish off here. There was an Indian woman I knew. This is back before my first marriage. And there was an Indian, I was living in a place called Bar Harbor Apartments in Marina del Rey, which is kind of north of here. A very beautiful place. Probably now it's probably one of the most expensive places in the world. You probably know of where Marina del Rey is, right? Okay, that's the party place. It used to be the party place. I used to go out to the clubs and have fun. I had all kinds of fun. That was probably the best time in my life. I had a studio apartment there. I had I had like 2 different ones, and that time I was a little bit different of a person. But anyway, so I'd met an Indian woman named Prem Lada, and she was a beautiful Indian woman. And we met. I'm just trying to think back in time. This was like, we met, I think it was out by the beach somewhere or whatever. And so she used to come dancing in front of my window and stuff. And, she had these beautiful outfits and robes, and she knew a lot about the Indian culture and about the yoga. We talked about it. She was into massage and that kind of thing. And she did a lot of that, and she knew a lot about Indian culture, and she was very knowledgeable. So we were good friends for quite a while. During this time, I was going to the shrine every day, and what have we. So I was meditating a lot, and I was just kind of starting out. I was going to, I was taking Raghavan's class at the 24-Hour Fitness in Santa Monica every night. But I didn't know that much at that time. I hadn't even gone through a teacher training yet. But so anyways, I started. That's kind of when it reenacted my spiritual level. I started getting back into. I wanted something better. I wanted to elevate my. I was feeling unhappy with these mundane jobs that I had, working as a sales rep, marketing, and I was trying to fit into the conservative world, fit into a small box, which, if you're a creative person, you all know how impossible that is. And that's what I was trying to do. But anyways, so she helped me. So I started to have these experiences where I'd get down and pray, and I'd say, I'd pray to God, and I'd pray, there's something going on here. I feel like I'm getting, like I need to detach from the world. And I was sort of like what we were talking about, this sort of detachment. So I started feeling this energy coming up. It felt like an intense heat, like a wind chill, I didn't know what it was. It's almost like, it feels like goosebumps. Like, you ever gotten that? You got a feeling of goosebumps and the chills, and it's almost like a subliminal orgasm. And I didn't know what it was. I thought there was maybe something wrong with me. I was going, maybe it was some kind of anxiety or whatever, but I didn't know. So I went and asked Prem Lada. She was coming over to dance in front of the window a lot of the time, and we were good friends. Okay, but so I said, what's happening with me? I'm having these experiences of this energy that's coming up within me, and it's like I feel like I'm going wild, and what is it? So she explained to me what it was, and she told me this is your energy. You're starting to wake up. This is what's happening. So anyways, that's the story of Prem Lada. She was, I can remember it like it was just yesterday. A lot more stories to tell. Anyways, tomorrow night or the next night, I'm not sure. I'm going to get into the adventure at the Val Marin, Quebec tent where I was living in the Laurentian woods up there for about 30 days. Some of these things that I went through at that time. But again, so please try to, come, maybe you might want to join me back at that time. So maybe remember, I'll try to get here for another message tomorrow night at some point. And I want to do maybe a yoga class at one point this week. maybe a couple of them. It seems like there's been a little bit of popularity, and some people have been watching some of the yoga classes, getting quite a few views on that. So, you know, and I'm demonstrating and doing more postures, and, you know, kind of intertwining that with you know, getting the energy, you know, clearing the channels throughout the body. Okay, so one more thing. So the intense heat, you know, some people of the Kundalini is so intense, it's like a million atom bombs going off at once. You think about that. It has all the knowledge from beginning of time to the end of time. And it's almost the end of time right now. So, but the beginning of time till the end of time, which is just incredible. This Kundalini power has the knowledge of everything. This is the whole God knowledge of beginning, the end, the middle, the whatever. And so when it starts to enact itself in some people, they just, it's so intense. So you know, when you approach this, do it with much caution. You know, you don't want to do it too soon. You want to, the best way, in my opinion, is through devotion to God, is through purity and sadhana and journey to awaken this energy. It's not through you know, just techniques, you know, like doing Ashtanga yoga, and to, you know, doing the downward facing dog and trying to, you know, say, okay, and I'm going to do some you know, some you know, get into plow, or, you know, whatever, shoulder stand, or do a headstand, Shisasana, and that's going to raise it up. No, so go slowly. It may never rise, and that's okay. And a lot of people it doesn't. Some people it rises earlier in their life, but it is very intense, and so it has to be a natural evolution of things. Sometimes in most people, to be quite frankly with you, it never happens in their entire life. They go through life with this never happening, and they remain the same, you know. And so we don't know what, you know. There's they die, they go on. And I'm not going to get into that right now. We'll cover that at another time. Anyways, we just pray, Lord, thank you for tonight. I hope that I was able to give out some really good information to some people. And I just pray for, you know, I pray for this world. I pray for this, especially this upcoming year. This is a time period that's never happened in history before. What's coming up in the next 3 or 4 months, and I just pray over your sovereign control in all things in this, in Jesus Christ's name. Thank you, God, and let it be said. Okay, so good night, and I will see you back tomorrow night. Okay, so love you all. Peace. Jeff.